So in this video, I want to talk about Goblin Slayer Season 2, because this is a series that's drawn in a lot of controversy, especially over Season 1, all because of the one particular episode. The one episode with the 5 to 10 second scene that caused such an outroar that people had to make massive 30-minute long videos analyzing a small couple of scenes and just having that big breakdown. But I wanted to talk about the series as a whole while also analyzing that specific scene, because Goblin Slayer to me has always been a series that's kind of in the style of D&D. Even the music itself is very much themed around the D&D aspect, especially the opening, where it's about the roll of the dice, the game itself, and everything being based on luck. And that's one of the reasons why I do like Goblin Slayer, because it does have that D&D aspect to it. And this might be a bit of a controversial opinion, but I actually enjoy the anime kind of more than the actual light novels, and I've read much of the light novels. Not all of the volumes, but most of the volumes themselves. And I do enjoy it. It's got that D&D vibe. Yes, there's a lot of goblins in it, so it can feel a little bit repetitive, but I mean, it's in the name of the anime, Goblin Slayer, so of course they're going to defeat goblins, but they spice it up every now and again with different types of creatures. But one of the things that I've liked about Goblin Slayer is, yes, it can feel simplistic on a first layer, but as you understand Goblin Slayer himself, you understand why he is kind of the way he is and why he's kind of very dysfunctional as a character. And a lot of that has to do with the fact of his past trauma. Like, he went through some pretty horrific stuff. He witnessed some really horrible stuff. And so it's really affected him quite unstably. Like, yes, he has friends. He doesn't have family, but he kind of has family if you think about the cowgirl. I mean, I would see her more as a love interest than anything. I mean, it's clear that she has feelings, but he's very disjointed, but he's also very, I would say, almost protective. And it was shown in Season 2 when you have the little wizard boy himself, the miniaturized version with a bit of a punky attitude, where he was going on about some of the stuff that happened to him and his family, or his sister, and Goblin Slayer just like has a mental breakdown. He like leaves the pub, he goes behind the building or to the side of the building and then has a breakdown. And it's because of the fact that he feels like he's failed. He is so driven and so determined to kill goblins because he doesn't want anyone else to go through what he's gone through. And it shows that there is a reasoning why he is the way he is. He's obsessed. He's deeply, deeply obsessed with killing goblins because he's just wants to get rid of them so that no one has to go through what they go through. And I think the scene from Season 1 that caused such a controversy did the job that it was meant to do. It provoked an emotion that you felt repulsed, you felt disgusted, and that was the entire point of that particular scene. It made you feel uncomfortable, and that is a good thing. I understand some people feel like it shouldn't have been in there, but at the same time, what I feel like it was trying to portray is just how disgusting the goblins are, the damage that they do to people. And yes, in the light novels itself, it does go over the backstory, and it goes over all those little characters, and you kind of feel a bit more attached. But I don't feel like you need the backstory to be attached to those characters. You understand that they're new, they're rookie adventures, going on one of their first major adventures into it, and they're unprepared. The education there and the wisdom being passed on just isn't there. There's a lack of it. And in Season 2, they actually have a program to help educate new adventurers of being like, hey, these are some of the things that you can use to help increase your chances of survivability when doing these dangerous tasks, and that is something really important. But Goblin Slayer has learned a lot of lessons about the size of the weapons, different tools, not coming with just one weapon, like being prepared, willing to use other weapons when necessary, like use your environment to its full potential. Kind of reminds me of Baldur's Gate 3 with that series, and how people will use the environment, use the tools around them to their advantage to gain any leg up in the game itself. And it makes for a fun experience. And that's one of the reasons why I like Goblin Slayer, because it feels like a D&D adventure just in an anime format. But it always comes back to people don't want to watch the anime because of that one specific scene in Season 1, which is funny because in the light novels, it actually happens technically twice. There is, in Season 1 that was actually cut, there was a scene where the goblins use females as human shields. that wasn't actually in the anime. That was actually cut out, I believe, unless my memory has gone faulty, but it wasn't in season 1, which just showed that, you know, they didn't just add stuff for the sake of shock value. They could have added that in just to cause more controversy, but they didn't. They didn't actually add it. And I think the reason why they did this first scene but not the others is because they showed what they needed to show. They made you understand what the goblins are and the damage that they do. It also goes over a lot of the trauma, not just with Goblin Slayer, but other characters as well that have been victim to these goblins, and show the damage that it does mentally. And I think that's important because it shows the damage that doing those things can do to someone. I think that's important, but of course it always comes down to content creators wanting to censor things out and then say that they don't want to censor things out, and it's like, oh, I don't want censorship, but I don't want these things in it and it should be censored. It's like, I understand why people feel uncomfortable, but that is the objective of it. Overall, the story itself, taken away from that specific scene, is a fun journey. It goes through different dungeons, it goes into different environments, you get many different characters that are introduced. Yes, it is a harem, yes, it does have some fan service in it, but I really don't think the fan service is that big of a deal. I feel like the main focus is the adventure, the dungeons, the goblins, the monsters, and some of the interesting story elements to it. Now, for those that do not know, yes, season 1, season 2, but there is also a movie that's in between season 1 and season 2, so if you have not watched the movie, there is a movie, and that is dubbed as well, so you can definitely consume that. And there is plenty, and I mean plenty of material beyond just the actual anime itself. There is the mangas, which are based on the light novels, but there's a multitude of light novels. There's like the main story, the side story, the prequel. There's heaps of stuff for you to consume. So if you want more Goblin Slayer, there is plenty for you to consume, and I expect that the series will get another season or some form of continuation later on down the road. I understand some people don't like the harem aspect to it, but it is what it is. I can understand why some of the girls like Goblin Slayer, because he does have a bit of a charm to him, and though you don't really see his face, you do a little bit in season 1 where it kind of shows a little bit of him, but it kind of reminds me of one of those sites that have some fun stuff on it, where it's like one of those main protagonists where the hair just goes over their eyes, and it's just like you don't ever really see their face. But in the light novels, I never really remember them ever showing like any facial expression, like any images or art with his face. The anime seemed to be really the only one that showed it, but hey, I still really like the series for what it is. It's basic, it's simple, but it's still really fun, and that's what I like about Goblin Slayer. It's not something you go in there expecting something super deep, but there are those moments where you get something meaningful and deep. But I just feel like the series kind of got bogged down in season 1 from all the dumb drama, because content creators couldn't handle something that actually made them feel something beyond the basic emotions of feeling dead inside. It's just like, okay, cool. But you could skip that. You could easily skip that first episode, because it does kind of like go over it throughout the episodes itself, like kind of reminiscing on not this scene itself, but showcasing the emotional damage it did to Priestess, how Goblin Slayers helped her, and also the importance of knowing the knowledge to go into the dungeon and be prepared for those kind of situations. It goes over it, but doesn't have that. It's just that first scene is what seems to have stirred some people away. But you could skip the first episode if you really feel that uncomfortable about it. And it does give a warning now on Crunchyroll, which it originally didn't, which was one of the biggest issues. And that's on Crunchyroll, not the anime itself. So I'd definitely love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Have you been watching Goblin Slayer? What are your thoughts about it? And again, if you like this video, hit the like, subscribe, and I'll see you beautiful nerds in the next video.